my mate come over the other day and she saw my tablet that I had on the table, and she knows that that's one of the ways that I create designs for my Etsy shop. So she said to me, "Hey, Katie, can I make a logo design? Can I just, basically mess around with it and create designs?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." So I handed it to her, and she opened it, and she looked at me, and I was like, "What's the matter?" And she basically said to me, "Why in the world have you got a lock when you live alone?" And I said to her, "Girl, when you've lived in London and you've been robbed twice, you make sure everything's locked." So, needless to say, the phrase, "you can take the girl out of London, but you can't take the London out the girl," is completely true in my case, because I make sure that my doors are locked pretty much at all times. I make sure that I have device passwords on everything that I have, and I always make sure that I have something around me within reach, 6 foot around my house, anywhere that I am. Now, I've lived in a lot of places around London, so, well, I'll just try and name them if I can remember. So, I've lived in Enfield, I've lived in Hertfordshire, I've lived in East Barnet, I've lived in Boreham Wood, I've lived in Palmer's Green, I've lived in Edgware. I think that's it. But that's 6 places in London where, I mean, some of the places are nice, but in Edgware, I heard gunshots almost every week. And I was robbed twice in two separate houses, in the Boreham Wood house and in the East Barnet house. So, needless to say, that I will never, ever go back to London in my life. And I know that there might be people being like, "Oh, well, you might have PTSD." I absolutely don't have PTSD, right? That shit happened a long time ago. It was what it was. Like, people in London are the way that they are, right? And we're talking back. Sorry, I should have even said when this was. So I moved to London from where I was in my hometown. I moved to up to London in around 2007 is when I moved, and I stayed in London and around until around 2011, where I came to Suffolk, and this is where I have resided ever since. So yeah, it was just a random, like, I didn't expect her to say that to me, right? I was, the way she looked at me, I was like, "What's the matter?" And she was so baffled by the fact that I have a lock on my device and I live alone, and I thought, do other people do that? Like, so I'm asking you now, like, am I weird for doing that? Like, is it because of the fact that, like, shit's happened to me before, and so now I'm, like, super paranoid about it? Or is that a normal thing? Like, everybody has a lock on their phone, right? But I think she was specifically meaning, like, I have a lock on my laptop, I have a lock on my tablet. Is this not normal? Do you not do that, like, if you live alone? And after she said it, it just, like, got me thinking about life in London, and just, I don't know, man. Like, again, the dates that I was in London was back then, right? So I've no idea what it's like now, but let me tell you, you can pay me to go back to that area. And I didn't even see what it was for what it was until I actually came to Suffolk and lived the quieter countryside life, if you will. Because I also remember coming to Suffolk within my first sort of 2 years of being here. I was in my young 20s, right? So I was outgoing, talking to people, working here, there, and everywhere. I had multiple jobs because I could never hold a job down. So I met loads of people. And within that time, a lot of people were telling me that they had moved either out of London or out of Essex. And they had specifically moved to East Anglia, right? I'll say East Anglia because it's not just Suffolk that people would move to. People would also move to Norfolk as well, and Cambridge. So just in the area of East Suffolk, just in the area of East Anglia, it seemed pretty popular as a place to come to. And the more that I spoke to people, the more that I found so many people left London. Like, yeah, there were a few other places like sprinkled in and up north and things like that, but the majority of people had just run away from London, and not just the wealthy people, because bear in mind, I'm not going to be speaking to billionaires and wealthy people, am I? So I'm speaking to people like me and you, yeah, that have just like left their house in London. So I was actually in multiple different like places. Like I was with a partner in one place, I was on my own in another place, I was with another partner in another place, and I was in a shared room in another place in London. So my London life was so chaotic that when I decided to, well, to be quite honest, I didn't even decide to come to Suffolk. It was I'm gonna have to just tell you the backstory really. Like, it's very, very quick. I ended up renting a shared room, like a room in a shared house. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say. I was renting a room in a shared house, and Marley was a puppy. This is really important, okay? So I just got Marley as a puppy. So we're going back 15 years, okay? So I just got him. He was about 10, 12 weeks old by the time I'd had to like move out wherever I was. And I was looking at places to rent. And back in the day, we would go on to places like Gumtree and other private places like this, okay, where people would, like people like you and me, would just put up an advert and be like, got a room to rent, this is how much, deposit, blah, 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 blah. So I found a place in Edgware. It was a four, one, two, three, it was a 3-4 bedroom house, but they'd actually converted, it was like Harry Potter, mate. They'd converted the room under the stairs into this tiny ass little box room. And this Scottish dude was 6'2" Scottish dude was paying to live in this tiny little box room, right? So anyway, there was a single room upstairs, and the lady said that I could have it if I wanted, but I made sure to say to her, hey, I've got a puppy. Is that okay? Because I don't know if you know, but if you have a pet and you're trying to rent a place privately, most of the time they will say no pets, no smokers. This woman was happy with my pet. She said it's absolutely fine. This is the payment, here's my bank details, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure I didn't end up paying a full month's deposit. There was not a lot of money put down on the table to get into the house, right? Let's just say that. Anyway, roll on a couple of months and we get a knock on the door as the tenants. Get a knock on the door, open the door, and there is a Jamaican dude standing in front of us. And we're like, hey, can we help you? And he's like, yeah, this is my house, get out. And we were like, sorry? Sorry? He goes, this is my house, you need to get out now. And obviously, myself and the other tenants were really confused. We were like, who are you? Just come into the house saying that you own the house, telling us to get out. We pay rent to whoever it was. And then he turned around and he went, yeah, and she pays me rent. She's been illegally subletting this, so you need to get out. Great. Absolutely fucking brilliant. So this woman had put out an advert for separate bedrooms in this 4-bedroom house, which she was paying £700 a month to the Jamaican guy for. And she was raking in 360 from me, 520 from the double room with Rebecca and someone else, can't remember his name. The Scottish guy downstairs, and there was Leah and Shane in a double room as well. So there was all 4 taken up, and she was paying the rent to this guy. Found out it was completely illegally sublet. Obviously, we didn't have a contract because, like I said, it was very much, just, yeah, I've got a dog. Is that all right? Yeah, just give me the money. I didn't think of it being a young 20-year-old. I was just like, yeah, sweet, I got a house. Nah, not no more. So what happened was my friend at the time was with me, and he had lived in London. Well, my ex, but he's my friend now. We're still friends. And he lived in London, and he had actually moved to Suffolk, and he was there at that time where the Jamaican guy was like, get your stuff and leave. There were tenants trying to fight it, and they were going to be like, we'll just evict us. We'll stay here until we're evicted. I was like, you know what? I can't be dealing with this. So my mate just said, get your stuff and come to Suffolk with me. Hi, editing me. Have to come back. I'm literally editing the video, and I'm like, wait, there's a really important part that I miss. So why I bring up that he is Jamaican is because when he was saying about get out the house, and I said the tenants were, basically going to try and fight it, is at this point that he then turned around and he said, if you don't get out the house, I'm going to get my 2 sons to come and drag you out the house. Now, I don't know about you, but I really didn't want to fuck about with 2 big Jamaican dudes. So, hence why I said, no, I'm leaving. And that was a big part of it, right? So we were being threatened and all sorts. And I was just like, I'm not dealing with this, okay? This dude is quite clearly angry. He's got, bear in mind that the brothers turned up as well, okay? The brothers turned up and were like, get your fucking stuff and get out now. So I did. And lo and behold, that is what happened. And that's why I'm here to this day. And I thank my blessings that that did happen, because I had no idea what I'd walked into at, like, obviously stupid 20-year-old, you know, like, feel free to put the comments down to be like, well, that's what you deserve. Totally, mate, totally. You know, I was a young 20-year-old with a little puppy. All I wanted to do is make sure I had a roof over my head and make sure that it was okay to have the puppy there, you know, and I didn't think about legitimacy and the fact that she was illegally subletting it. So that's one of the main reasons, along with the fact that I heard gunshots every week, like I said, in Edgware, and just everything that goes with London being robbed twice, and the decline of it. So I would never move back to London, but is there anybody listening to me right now who's in London who would either A, get out, or B, you've already gotten out? Because again, I didn't really see what was going on until I kind of came down, or up to Suffolk, should I say. So now that I'm out, and I've been out for a while, I can see what was going on. But are there people there that are listening to me that are like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I didn't know how bad shit was until I got out too, and now you're out and you never go back to London as well. So random story, I know, but I just wanted to see if anybody kind of related to the fact that, yeah, I live alone, but I have passwords on everything and cameras, and yeah. Is that normal?